I'm in the jungle this morning in the location where our new headquarters are slowly taking place, which is really exciting. But today I'm going to be answering your VIP questions that you sent in last month. And first on the list is a question by Oscar, and he asked, what is the lifespan of a wild sloth and what is the lifespan of an urban sloth? And questions kind of go together because urban sloths are actually completely wild sloths. But the best part about all of this is that we actually have no idea. Nobody knows anything about the lifespan of sloths in the wild because it's never been studied before. So this is a completely new topic and something that we are trying to answer through an ongoing, very long-term research project that we're calling the Eternal Sloths, because the chances are this project is going to go on eternally. And so we are monitoring some sloths, some that live in primary healthy jungles and some that live in urban areas, and we're monitoring them for their whole lives. So we've chosen sloths that were juveniles when we first found them, so we know approximately how old they are. And then once they become an adult, after that it's impossible to tell their age. So we're just going to keep on following them and see how long they live for. And yeah, we're going to have the answer, hopefully, within my lifetime. But I have a theory that sloths might live a very, very, very long time, much longer than anybody anticipates in the wild. So you never know. The next question is, what is the biggest sloth in the world? Now, it's a good question. Historically, there was a sloth called the Megatherium, which was the biggest sloth in the world, and it would reach up to 6 meters tall. It was an extinct giant ground sloth, and there are some rumors that perhaps one or two of these still exist deep in the Amazon. There's some observations by indigenous tribes out there that claim to have seen this huge sloth-like creature walking around. But according to science, that's not the case. And of the modern day sloths that we do have still alive, the biggest one I've ever seen was 12 kilograms. She was a 2-fingered sloth called Lily, and she was huge. But generally the sloths that we work with are usually between 4 and 7 to 8 kilograms is the average size. What countries do sloths live in? Well, they live in a lot of countries. They live throughout South and Central America, from Nicaragua all the way down into Brazil. They used to go into Argentina, but they're actually extinct from Argentina now, we think. But they live in a very narrow band around the equator. So it's within actually 17 degrees of the equator specifically. That is the region where sloths live in South and Central America. You get different species in different areas, so they don't all live throughout all the countries. But the reason they only live within that band around the equator is because that is where the temperature stays nice and warm and stable year round. Sloths can't regulate their body temperature like a lot of mammals, so they rely on the environment being nice and warm and stable in order to survive. This is a good one. How do we name our sloths? Historically, I used to name them all because I was the one doing this by myself for a very long time. And I had some questionable name choices. They usually revolved around food because I'm a girl who loves my food. But now that we have a growing team, actually a lot of different members of our team choose names. And then sometimes we get you guys to choose names as well. And often the names now reflect particular characteristics of the sloth. So for example, we just collared a sloth that we've called Chill. And it's a bit ironic because she was the least chill sloth we've ever worked with. She was exceptionally feisty, which I love. But so the names, we meet the sloth, see what its personality's like, see what the situation is where it's living, and we come up with a name that fits that particular individual. Somebody has also asked, how long do we track individual sloths for? Because you've noticed that some sloths we seem to be tracking for a really long time. Those are our eternal sloths, the ones that we're trying to understand the lifespan of. But other individuals, we seem to only follow them for a few months. And that's because we need to get a big sample size of sloths in order to accurately understand what it is that they're doing and how they're being affected by different disturbances in their habitat. And in order to do that, we need a big sample size. So a lot of the sloths just come in the project for 3 to 6 months, and then we take the collar off, release them, and then get a different individual instead. So there's quite a big high changeover of sloths, except for our eternal sloths, which are going to stay with us forever. And that's it for this month. But if you have any questions about sloths, about our organization, what we do, who we are, send them in and I'll answer everything again in a video next month for you. And thank you for being one of our VIPs. Your support means more than you know. and it's allowing us to do everything that we're doing to help the sloths.